Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I've got an open box video for you with kind of a multitude of different items here. We've got, of course, 1914 Denver Mint penny. This is one of the hardest pennies to get out of all of the Lincoln cent series. The 14D is one that you just don't see as frequently in higher grade. This one's pretty decent. It's got a nice split of the wheat stalks on the back. I always look at that splitting at the ends. Split ends, not as good in the fashion industry, but here it's fine. And then you look at the lower level of the wheat stalk, the like kernel area. Those are a little bit worn together. And NGC called this a fine 15. And the other thing we're looking at here, usually, you've got a lot of flatness over the surface of the main design area, so all of his jawline and forehead, it all kind of blends together over the ear. A lot of the suit is blended together over this higher portions, which would be your kind of shoulder area. This whole area in here has a lot of flatness to it, right? And so that's kind of the high points on the coin, but a lot of detail, a nice coin. And one that is really tough to get. If you go to a coin show, you'll find a lot more 09S VDBs in high grade. Well, not necessarily fines, but in high grades you'll find more 09S VDBs than you'll find 14Ds. That's just kind of something to keep an eye out for at a coin show. 14D, tough coin. All right. By the way, that 14D is somewhere in the 250 ballpark in that condition. Next up, we have one of the tougher San Francisco Mint coins, 1886. There's this whole era of San Francisco coins where they go from the most common coins, from the first issues, 78 through 82, and then all of a sudden you hit 83, 84, 85, 86, and it just kind of keeps rolling, where all of a sudden all the estimates are really, really tough to get. This one has, full luster and has a lot of originality to it. A little bit of what you might call crustiness or some original toning to it on the back here. Kind of some book toning. It almost looks like album toning because you've got it just kind of more on one side than the other. And overall the type of coin that lots of people would probably choose to play with a little bit, restore it, if you will. But this is an interesting one because this one they called an MS61. This is a coin that in this condition's roughly a $500 type coin. Interesting because it has nice eye appeal to it. There's kind of this borderline area where a coin has full luster in the fields, and then the cheek doesn't have that many contact marks. But you look at it and you say, well, it's not. Is that 100% luster? Is it a break in the luster? Do we have wear? What do we got going on there? A coin that I'm more likely to probably call that coin a 60 or 58 than a 61. But the good news is now we have something really nice to compare it to, because this 1890 Morgan, oh man, and this is going to be hard to film, but in person it's a little easier to tell. But you can start to see that the luster on this coin is less than the previous coin. This 90cc has just a little bit of dullness in those open areas, right? So looking at the fields to the left and right of the eagle, in between the eagle's wings and the wreath, just kind of concentrate on that area as I tilt them. And now we're going to tilt a whirl this guy here and see. You see how that turns that nice bright white color in between the wings? And in this area it doesn't. It has some breakage. That's a break in luster. That's what we're talking about. And this coin is appropriately an AU58, and then this coin is, I think, clearly nicer. So, like I said though, that MS60 grade felt more like the right grade, but there's probably little to no price difference between a 60 and a 61. This 90cc, also a $500 type coin, 500 plus. Always popular. Them Carson cities. And I mentioned we have some S-Mint marks that are scarce, right? I mean, San Francisco Mint in those 80s, all of a sudden it seemed like all of the coins were getting printed in New Orleans, and came back, really nice, really cheap, really high grade. And then you get the San Francisco Mint coins that Probably circulated largely out west. There was not a reason for them to really get shipped back to the East Coast. And so they wore a lot. So this one here is an AU55. Some of these coins are interesting because they're not that hard to find in circulated grades, and then they jump up a bunch in value in uncirculated grades. So once again, you see how we've got the bright luster on this area, and then in this area, that's just wear. That's not just a minor break, that's wear. Same with on the cheek. What you're seeing there is wear when you see it at certain angles, and you get the dullness all of a sudden, and then you can actually see the hairlines all over the field on that one. And so when you can actually physically see wear, all of a sudden you're probably going to be a 55 or lower versus just like breaks in the luster. And that's one of those things that kind of gets tricky, because if you don't have coins to compare it to and you just see this coin at first, you're like, well, that might be really high grade. But then you get help by seeing a coin next to it and knowing that, okay, now that we can see one next to the other, we know a little bit better about what the grades should be. That 83S probably a $400 to $500 coin in that grade. Next up, another San Francisco mint, the 84S. This is the one that's uber crazy rare in high grades. It's a coin that I've never owned an unk. I think they're 20 grand an unk, something silly like that. And this one has kind of a cool little PL effect going on the back. Nothing too fancy. Also similar to the last coin. Yeah, that's a nice little PL effect going on there for a worn coin. The proof-like coins also, by the way, the way that they wear looks different, right? So this side has a little bit more traditional luster to it, but also has a touch of PL. But when they have really the traditional luster bloom, it's easier to tell when there's wear on the coin. When they have more of a proof-like finish, it's actually harder to tell that there's wear on the coin, because that you don't have the same luster bloom that you would normally. So, and then your eyes get caught sideways when you see the mirror finish. You go, oh man, look at how nice that is. But it still has the same kind of wear spots to it on the eagle's breast, and missing luster still. Another AU55, probably a $700+ coin in this market as we move forward on that 84S. Next up, you do have the whole back half of the series. This is a 98S. This one was a little mysterious. I sent it in just because, higher grade coins are expensive, but I wasn't 100% sure what they'd call this. I wasn't 100% sure what was going on in this coin. You're looking at another coin that has a little bit of a PL feel to it, and the reverse looks halfway decent. It's got, I think, a little bit of wear to it. I would have called it an AU. But then the obverse has this really just flat look to it. And so sometimes, this is the type of thing where you really call environmental damage what it is, where you look at something and you say, this was kept in a holder. I mean, this looks like it was in an old manila envelope for a long time, although it only really seems to have affected one side of the coin. And then you have this odd like white strip down the center of it. And so they call this AU details cleaned. And interesting call on the cleaned portion. I'm not 100% sure. I think maybe you call it AU details environmental damage or something. But tough coin still in a higher grade. And for those of you who are keeping track at home, we haven't really talked about this yet, but these coins were gone just over 2 months on the standard service, which is interesting because I have coins that have been out for another month before that on the same service and did not come back yet. So we shall see. Everything seems a little topsy-turvy to me, but they don't always come back in the same order. They don't always come back in the same order. So this guy here, pan pack, I think really what I should just do is show you right away that the pan pack is unk details clean and let you know that I'm out of the pan pack business. I'm only going to buy certified pan packs from now on. It's kind of weird because it's a me problem. I have a blind spot. I see a lot of these coins certified, and then the last several that I've had raw that I thought were decent, because the pan pack has a different look to it than almost any other coin in the commemorative series. All the coins look clean. Like if you go find, I'm not excusing this coin, by the way. What I'm just explaining is that if you go find pan packs that are certified with straight grades, you'll find a whole lot of coins that the average person would look at and say it's, it's been cleaned, because they have a real strange luster to them. The fields are somewhat wavy, and then of course you have these crazy amounts of dye polish in the date. Look at that. All those white lines moving straight across, that's all dye polish. And this coin has a little bit of nice, like, little tone by the edge, a little crispy tone. Little cherub buttocks right there, kind of cute little thing going on. So we got flowers, and I'm quitting. That's it. I'm just giving up. No more pan packs for me. All right, 1916 dime. All right, this one is interesting. You guys will have to let me know what you think on this. Okay, so 16D dimes, you send them in because you just got to send them in. They're counterfeited quite a bit, but also they're just easier to sell in holders. This one I would call, about good. See, when you get the date, when you have the lettering kind of half gone, you're usually going to be in an AG grade on this. And I liked this coin's originality. Just a little bit of, it's been a little bit everywhere here, but it's just got some schmutz on it. So damage. So this one was a little bit of a head scratcher for me because there's a judgment call in there somewhere. When his coin is damaged, I kind of want to see something that looks like damage. So you guys tell me where you would call damage. Okay, there's like a little nick on the neck, some fine lines, but nothing. I didn't find anything on the obverse that I thought was something you could call damage. There's an area here to the right on the rim with those nicks, not like Stevie nicks, just little nicks here. I don't know really that's got to be what they're looking at, but that's a nice, to me that was kind of a nice even coin. Boy, we got a couple fun pieces left to show to you. First of all, this Woods Hibernia piece, Colonial. I am pretty excited about this one because I don't get too many nice Colonials in, and this one just looked really pretty. 1723. You got the Hibernia there. Early coppers, just a lovely thing. And the fun thing is, the harp, which has such a cool design to it with the angel and the wings and everything. And there's George. So very cool Colonial piece, MS62. This piece I think is in the $500 ballpark. I'd have to double check, but something like that. Really nice piece. Great bold design to it, and all around fun piece. And last but not least, we're going to go biblical on you here and save the best for last. This 1850 half cent, which has this enormous outer ring to it on the planchet, and super cool bold design and strike, clean fields, not super lustrous, but sometimes if some of these early copper pieces come that way. I know that Woods Hibernia piece was not what you'd call a lustrous example, but the coin is all there. I hadn't checked I haven't found any diagnostics to tell me, but at a blush I thought it could have been a proof because it was just this really flat. I mean, the combination of not having the luster with the wide rim, but I think you'd still want to see a double rim on that. So in other words, this little outer edge should be kind of raised instead of flat. Beautiful solid reading to it. This is an issue that there was less than 40,000 made on this, and really a special piece for anyone who's collecting. This is probably a $1,600 to $1,800 coin in MS62. Really a lovely piece, and kind of the thing that dreams are made of. It's really just beautiful for something from that time period, and it's very unusual for me to see copper that has that type of a grade to it. and nice look to it. They did make proofs, by the way, on these. There's like 10 to 20. It wasn't really kept track of apparently the same way when they have to estimate 10 to 20. A little bit different. So anyway, guys, some fun stuff. Thanks so much for watching and commenting and liking and sharing. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.